So yeah, we are getting started, but I want to remind you that we're going to be able to break into groups. Putting this stuff into context. We've talked about co-planning, and if you guys remember, we talked about the what, how, who approach. Is that sounding familiar at all? Remember the what, the how, who? So I just want to give an example before we break up, since some of you are going to want to work with colleagues or small groups. Here's an example of what this would look like, pulling the differentiation in with what we've talked about before about planning and co-teaching, of course. So if I was meeting with a science teacher, so I'm meeting with Marty, and I'd say, or Mel, let's say Mel, our gen ed science teacher. Mel, what do we have to do in science? And he says, all right, well, first, I know that we have to do homework review. We haven't done a homework review. Also, we have to read a chapter in text. We have to make sure that we answer some questions. I want to do a short lecture about content. It's going to be about 10 minutes. I want them to take notes on it. I know that we've also got a short, like, hands-on activity kind of lab that we have to do. And then, of course, we have to do writing across the curriculum. There has to be some kind of writing, maybe, I don't know, a journal comprehension check. So even though this doesn't have the content, because I'm not focusing on the content, he's letting me know this kind of thing has to happen in this class with whatever the content is. So I know that, and as I'm collaborating with him and co-teaching, then if you look on the left, the what is there. The homework check, the review, the reading chapter, the mini lecture, the hands-on activity, the writing comprehension. Now we get to the how. How are we going to do it? This is where you guys are pulling in your co-teaching approaches and figuring out what makes the most sense. So maybe Mel and I talk about it and we say, well, you know, when we do the homework check, one of us can be taking roll, one of us can be walking around stamping kids' papers. When we do the review, what if the two of us use team teaching for a few minutes and just role play our answers or talk about the answers? Good, done. That's the first 10 minutes of class. Now let's get creative. And so that reading chapter, that's going to take 20 minutes for them to actually read it, answer some questions. So Mel says, you know what, Mel, do you want to do the reading chapter or do you want to do the lab? I'll let you pick.
Yeah, lab.
You want to do the lab? Jerk. All right. No, fine. You need to do the fun stuff. So that's fine, because actually I know that as a special educator, I deal a lot with kids who struggle with reading, so that's actually probably better. So I'm going to have half of the group, we're doing parallel, I'll keep half of the group for 20 minutes and get to work with them in their text, answering questions and making sure they get it. At the same time, half of the kids are going to go over to Mel, but now we're getting even more creative, because in that 20 minutes that he has, he's breaking them into two different groups. So even within that, he's breaking them in one group, he's going to be working on doing a direct instruction mini lecture, and one group's going to be working on that lab that he's already set up directions for, and then they flip-flop. So in that 20 minutes, they're listening to him, they're moving, or they're moving, and then they're listening to him. And then both groups flip-flop. So we're being really creative there. Then we get into the end of the lesson, because everybody's gone through all of this, and we have alternative, which is large group, small group. And so we've identified, Mel and I just do it in a quick check-in, like who wasn't getting it in your group, who wasn't getting it in mine. Hey, I'll take those couple kids who need a little reteach, or we've got a couple kids who are ready for enrichment, let's pull them back there, Mel's ready for that. So that's the how. Did it super quickly. Now get to the who. This is where you get your differentiation. This, by the way, the how, is your UDL. This is where we're thinking, how are we engaging them? How are we making sure that we're doing different things for different kids? Bigger picture. But in addition, now we get to the who. So now we're adding in different things. Well, during that homework check, we could be doing cell phones, letting them use them as clickers, using Poll Everywhere, or doing something like Kahoot. We have scaffolded questions. We even have some different homework. Kids did different things for the homework. For the reading chapter, I could be using auto-summarize on Word. I could be letting some students use text-to-speech apps. Some kids had headphones during that time because they're listening to it. Some students have a chapter that's already got highlighting in it. Concurrently, Mel's over there and he's lecturing. He's using something called the LiveScribe pen. Do any of you guys use that, the Echo pen? Oh, excellent. And what do you use it for? As you lecture? Sorry.
So, when you're absent,
perfect. And you've already uploaded it. Yeah, and that's fantastic. So kids who are absent. So the pen, as you can talk, or she said that sometimes the students will take the notes, but the pen is recording as you take the notes. which is great if you have a student who needs to have repetition to aid retention. They can actually listen to the lecture again the night after. An educational therapist or a parent who's trying to help them, a tutor, can hear it as you explained it. So anyway, Mel's back there, he's giving a lecture, but he's using the LiveScribe Echo Pen, or he's also got a graphic organizer using closed procedure. All this is possible. Come up with some actual strategies for differentiating your lesson, your content, and addressing the needs of your individual students. We had some great conversations over here. I was asked about some of the practical strategies that I put on the website and put on the slides, so I was giving some of those ideas. And if there's anything after this that you feel like you take some time to look at the PowerPoint and there's concepts that you don't understand or strategies that you'd like me to explain, feel free to email me and I'm happy to explain some of this later. In the meantime, I have a cute little thing up here. Summer's over, kids. Now all you round pegs, get back into your square holes. We don't want to try and get kids do the same thing. In summer, a lot of times people are able to excel. They're able to be different. So let's move to sharing. So Marty went around, and hopefully everybody has something that they came up with. Either you're going to add it to the Padlet, you're putting it on the magic tablecloth, or you're willing to share right now so that we get some ideas, things that work that you have tried for differentiation. Who is willing to start? This is where we're learning from one another. Good, let's start us off.
Matt and I, both co-teachers, Marty has been busy, the whole time. So with Matt and I, Matt teaches biology, I teach physics, and we started talking about the NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, and the discussion that we had about energy flow and all kinds of plant cycles and stuff was a really fascinating discussion. The fact is we had the opportunity, and had never taken that opportunity before, to talk about all these cross-cutting concepts. So that alone was worthwhile. Because now I'm thinking, I got some ideas that apply to physics, and I'm sure Matt is thinking, I got some ideas that apply to biology, and of course Marty is there teaching physics as well. But it was very useful, given that unfortunately, and understandably, we weren't able to talk to Marty about specific planning.
Good. Others?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, please, thank you then.
In high school, I had a problem with rotation and revolution. And I came with the idea that one teacher would teach rotation, and the other teacher would teach revolution. And that way the students would see, okay, I'm learning everything on rotation with this teacher, everything on revolution with this teacher over here. So it kind of like stick better in your minds when it comes to like tests and everything like that. So in parallel teaching, you know, of course you have a mini lecture, you have like a physical group activity, you know, again, just a video or something like that, just to like, get it, smaller group and intimate, so by the time they come back together, after the lesson, it will flip, and then the same, the teacher will teach the new group the same thing. So by the time they come back together, they have like a really classroom group competition, like Family Feud. And it's something fun. So by the time it comes down to taking a test, it will be like, okay, let me just remember what happened when we had fun in class. And it's almost like we were teaching, but to them it was fun. Because it was like a fun activity. So.
Good, thank you. That's great. Great. And lots of things there. By the way, there's research that shows that humor encodes learning. Humor encodes learning. So when students are having fun, we all have had students who say, I remember that activity when you did that, that was cool. Most of us have not had any student come up to us and say, remember that dry, boring worksheet? Loved it. Right? So humor encodes learning. And then the other thing that I liked is they incorporated parallel teaching and team teaching. At the end, they're going to facilitate that Family Feud thing. So they have the co-teaching. and multiple means of representation. So he's talking about even within the person planning for revolution can say, all right, I'm going to have a YouTube video, I'm going to have a link, I'm going to have a this, I'm going to have a that, and the person planning for rotation is able to come up with their own thing. So even planning-wise, we've divided and conquered. So you've got a lot going on there. That's great. And keep in mind, additionally, you might still have that one kid or those 3 kids where you're going to be doing something additional for them, differentiating even farther, potentially further. Yes?
Last year, my school sent me to a training on sales, standard English learners. And one of the things that stood out was inclusion and validating. And especially with validating the academic vocabulary that they come with, that's important. But then I got thinking, I need to validate their moods. Some of them come with different things in their minds. And so I included this in the pattern.
Oh, good.
Where it's an inclusion activity, a check-in activity. They come in the first 3 to 5 minutes within their small group, they check in. And so there's a chart that they fill out with their name, and it's like, how do you feel today? So we, especially because I'm some shy students who never talk, and they're in groups. And so this gets them to talk about something that's not content related at first, but then it just gets them
going,
exactly. And then whatever they share at the end is like, but I'm in. My pet died last night. I'm sad, but I'm in. Or, they can share anything with the group, and then when the activity is over, after the 3 minutes, and you take attendance and everything, then you validate and open it for any of the groups to share anything with the whole class if they choose to.
Thank you. That's great. And that specifically relates to learning preferences. So I like the fact that that's a way for us to know more about the students and that day. You had something. Thanks.
Kelly and I co-teach algebra 2, and we're working on polynomials. So it's hard for them to do long division with polynomials. So Kelly is going to do regular long division with numbers one step, and then I'm going to do it with the polynomials one step. And then we're going to alternate so they can see the relationship using prior knowledge.
Excellent. And because you're both doing it, again, it's kind of like what they said, they're going to start to remember and retain it for later. They'll be like, oh, yes, I saw it that way, she did it, and now I can make that connection, which is fabulous. Okay, good. Another one. Thank you.
I'm going to top hers.
We love competition.
So we're going to have them categorize or quadrilaterals. So we're going to just put up all the names of different kinds of quadrilaterals on the board, parallelogram types, etc. And then we're going to have them try to cut out those figures and figure out how to classify them. And then we're going to teach them all about, they're going to learn all about the different types of quadrilaterals and their properties. And then we're going to do that activity again.
Good.
So they can see how much they grew from where they had it to where they went.
So that connects the repetition aids retention. It connects growth mindset so that they understand, look, you learned, and they're giving something very concrete. We're getting some ideas up here on the magic tablecloth. I wanted to point out something from my group. Sean was sharing with us about, with the same lesson, he's got this lesson, and he was sharing with 2 students. One student who, in his conversation, he was able to identify the kid can't read. She's reading at like a 2nd grade level, and it's impacting. So if you guys look at that yellow sheet, this student, in terms of readiness, that's the problem. So that's what Strong's having to deal with, is the readiness is not there. She's interested, she's got, he can learn about her learning preferences, but it's readiness. He had another student who just flat out doesn't like social studies, but he was able to identify that student does have the readiness skills. When he's motivated by soccer or something like that, he's got it, but it's his interests. So sometimes finding these things out helps you figure out, what am I going to do about this student? Because remember, you don't have a lot of control over the bottom stuff, but the more you know about it, it helps you control the top. Am I going to differentiate by content, process, or product? We got the rotation revolution. I'm going to let you guys come up and take pictures. There's some great stuff on vocabulary, some what and the how. If you want to come up and see if it relates to your content, your ideas. We have not had everybody share out. I genuinely hope that everyone came up with some ideas, and then remember, it's on you to think, did I come up with something to share and help my lesson, help my individual students? But differentiation is very much about having a mindset that it is absolutely okay to do different things with different students. And that includes with the assessment. Next week, we will talk more about assessment. I just thought I'd end with a quote by Howard Gardner, but then I threw it away, so there you go. Howard Gardner said, the biggest mistake we have made in past centuries in teaching has been to treat all children as if they were variants of the same individual, and thus to feel justified in teaching them the same subjects in the same ways. One of the conversations I was having earlier was that, unfortunately, we are giving completely mixed messages in education. On one hand, we're being told standardized tests and pacing plans and curriculum and follow it exactly the same so that everybody has the same access. And yet at the same time, on the other hand, we're being told differentiate, do different things, meet them where they are, and that can be really hard for us. So hopefully tonight, and especially with the resources online, I gave tips for differentiation, lots of links, things like that, that's on the Padlet if you go there, and then the packet, hopefully you have more strategies for how to try and do as much as you can to meet both needs for your students. So thank you guys. I want to give another round of applause to Marty for organizing and getting so much good food. The food is awesome. Lots of it. So, and please remember to sign up. Remember, this tentative, even if you're not sure. And Marty, you will communicate with them about if they sign up?
Yeah, so I'm going to be working on building the schedules and then communicating with you to confirm. We also have the 29th as well, so I'll be able to, the April 26th, which is, no one signed up for that yet, and that's okay, but if you'd like to sign up, if you want to sign up later, and so forth, but I will be communicating with you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so write those questions, or write those dates down, talk to your admin, definitely communicate with Marty, and then please do it now if you don't want it on your plate. But otherwise, Marty will hound you for us to please fill out feedback from tonight. It's the surveymonkey.com. Don't forget it's /r/ and tonight is GHCHS differentiation. And good night. We'll see you guys in a month.